One of the most challenging parts as a novelist is to try to find a way to write that compelling synopsis that really tells your story in a compacted, impactful way without giving it all away in a few paragraphs. It can be very, very challenging. I'm going to talk about some tips that I think could be very helpful to people as you consider writing your synopsis, something I'm doing right now for a novel that I just finished and I'm in the second edit on. And as I started to really work on crafting that synopsis, I do a synopsis in the beginning of every novel that I write. And it's kind of a working synopsis, something that is going to give me the guideline for the novel, the short guideline, and it's something that's separate from the outline that I typically do for a novel. So I'm not always a pantser. Sometimes I do take time to really script it out and to really make sure that I stay on a good track, that I'm hitting all the points that I want to hit, and that the story has a nice flow to it, as opposed to just flying by the seat of your pants and just trying to make it happen on the fly. So there is some strategy to it, but I do start with that basic synopsis from the beginning, and then what I do is once I get done with the novel, that draft, and sometimes the first or second edit, that's when I'll start working on the synopsis. And that's kind of where I am right now, is working on that back cover or that inside cover that gives an idea of what the story is about, makes it exciting, but doesn't give it all away. So I'm going to talk about some tips right now that could be helpful to you in working on that great synopsis that's going to catch the eye of a literary agent and or an editor as you look to get your book published. One of the things that you want to think about is the inciting incident, something that's going to set the tone for your book right off the bat. And that's something that just grabs the reader right away, and it's going to be that hook that's going to keep them reading for the rest of the story, that intrigues them enough that they want to see, where is this going to progress? And that gets them into the story and gives you an opportunity. In other words, it opens up the door and it invites them in. Then you have to have the meat on the table. You have to have your side items that are going to help keep the reader engaged in the story, but you need that inciting incident that's going to really get your novel off to a good start, that's really going to hook the reader in that synopsis too. That's something that's going to be crucially important, because if you lose them right off the bat, then it's obviously over. You're never going to get them back. So hook them right off the bat. That's good not only for your novel, but also for your synopsis. So what is the primary conflict that's going to take place with your main character? That's something that you really want to strongly consider. What is the thing that's going to test the character of your character? That's something that they're going to have to overcome over the course of your novel. You want to be able to get that introduced as early as possible. That's going to help put another hook into your reader to help them stay as engaged with the story as possible. Compelling characters is also very important. You want to bring your character to life. And when you're thinking about your synopsis, it's going to be really important that your character really pops, that your character is somebody that people can connect with, and you got to make that connection really quickly. You don't have a lot of space when you think about what a back cover is, when you think about what your synopsis is that you're going to try to pitch to your literary agent or your editor. So you want to get that hook in them right away. And part of that is a really compelling character that's going through some kind of moral dilemma, some kind of moral challenge that's really going to test their resolve over the course of the novel. What is that big climax? How are you going to bring it all together and finish with a bang? And those are things you want to think about. Again, in your synopsis, you don't want to give everything away, but you want to show that it's building to some kind of big conclusion that's going to be worth your reader sticking it out through 70, 80, 90, 100 plus thousand words. You want to have a powerful climax that is going to be something that your reader is going to be anticipating as they work their way through the story toward the end. You want to have that little bait dangling at the end of the line that's going to make them hang on to the end to find out what the ultimate conclusion is. So those are just a few tips I think that could be very helpful as you're working on your synopsis. But one of the biggest tips I think that I didn't mention there is to keep reading. Read other synopses that you see on some of your favorite novels, that you see on novels that are in your genre. Learn from what other people are doing as you start to shape it in your own voice, in your own words. You can still take an opportunity to learn from what the pros are doing as you become a pro yourself. There are some great things that are out there for you to consume in terms of how they're teasing their story, how they're showing the characters, how they're building energy for their story in that synopsis. There are things that you can take away, that you can glean from that can help you in writing your synopsis.